Bang.
Bang. Welcome back. I am Jon Najarian, delighted to be on with Monty and CJ. These are the two gentlemen that, of course, populate the crypto trading room over at Market Rebellion with insightful comments. And we've got charts. We've got an active community. Those two gentlemen and some of their new hires are monitoring that room 24/7. If you'd like to try it out, it is $1 for the first month. $1 for the first month. And so as not to lure you into something that you can't afford, if after that first month you decide I got to have this all the time, it's $29. It's not like, oh, it's $1,000. No, it's $29. And if you guys have been paying attention to any of the kind of tips that they've been providing, it probably makes you about $29 every 10 minutes if you put it into 24-hour term. In other words, there's a lot of great information there. You can find out about it by going to marketrebellion.com, try crypto. That's just marketrebellion.com/try crypto. And you get buck for the first month. So guys, wow, 64 thou. Just burned through 64 like that and holding nicely, pretty much as predicted. The question is, do we pull back now that we've, lit the fuse on this candle and that we've got all these currencies, Bitcoin, Doge, Ethereum or Ether, all of them have been moving up. Does it take a pause now? That's my first question to you guys, same as yesterday.
Well, it's interesting because from a technical perspective on the 4-hour, we are hitting a sequential sell 9. So sometimes, that will lead to, I guess, a pause or maybe a slight retrace, but that's on the 4-hour. It's on a kind of a shorter term time frame. But I wouldn't be surprised if that played a factor. But other than that, the IPO has just been, and the direct listing of Coinbase, it's just very bullish throughout the markets. We're breaking into price discovery. Are you guys participating in that direct listing at all?
One of the banks that I trade equities through, because CJ is talking about the equity now for Coinbase folks that'll be listed on all these exchanges. I was told that since I sit on a public board or two that I can't participate in IPOs. I didn't push them on direct listing, but I am buying it as soon as it comes public. So, there's not the same, you guys understand, I think the IPO is where, they drag this red herring, and the red herring, it's got a, it's a classic name, guys, but the red herring, CJ and Monty, is literally for scent dogs, like hounds and so forth with the big floppy ears. Believe it or not, those big floppy ears pull the scent to the dog's nose. Those big floppy ears flopping around are constantly pulling the scent. So they drag a herring so that the dog gets used to following a particular scent. And the reason that Wall Street calls it a red herring for an IPO is that you're more or less getting everybody all hot and bothered about, some big issuance. And you want to get like 2 to 5 times as much interest as you have shares, because then it'll be a successful IPO. It'll open up, people will bid it higher, and then they'll chase it, hopefully. And you want to price it just at the lowest end of fair value. You don't want to price it at the highest end, or what happened in, Facebook could happen. It opens at 42, kind of sits there for a hot second, and then wham, everybody starts selling it and so forth. That's a bad IPO, even though it'd be wonderful if you held on through that. But a direct listing, yeah, they're just going to go up and list it at perhaps $250 a share. Again, that's not market cap. That's the price point that they might list it at. And then we can buy it. So you don't get that same pop as you get in an IPO, where if CJ and Monty got allocated 1,000 shares at 175 and it opens at 275, they each made $75 on 1,000 shares, or $75,000. That's a freaking home run. This is not going to be that.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. And CJ, one thing you turned me on to in 2020 was starting to keep a trade journal and just logging all my trades. And I know you were planning on participating in this Coinbase direct listing. So I'm wondering, what are you writing down in your trade journal today? What, like, I know you're trying to enter at 250. Do you expect to get filled? Where do you expect it to go today? Do you have any expectations at all, or are you just kind of along for the ride today?
Yeah, no, this is going to be more of a learning experience. When I'm saying I'm participating in this IPO, it's not with a large amount of money by any means. Um, but I'm very interested to see, especially after what John said, the difference between the direct listing and the IPO and how they behave. I think a lot of people are just really amping Coinbase up on its future potential, because is there any validation of why Coinbase should be 4 times the size of the Nasdaq currently? It's interesting, and I think it's going to be a very, very important learning experience for a lot of us in the crypto space.
It's also really cool, CJ, that like for instance, the Nasdaq doesn't get to custody my trades or your trades. Coinbase does if you trade through there. I happen to trade through Voyager, but I also do have a Coinbase account. But the Nasdaq doesn't get that and the lending of that, whereas clearly many of these exchanges, including Voyager, pay you 8, in some cases even 8.5% for deposited coins. And Nasdaq doesn't get to do any of that SEC lending or securities lending because they don't custody the stuff. They get a transaction, but it's not anywhere near what, for instance, Coinbase gets. Not anywhere near it. It's not anywhere near what TD Ameritrade gets. Because even if they have a zero cost, TD Ameritrade is then selling that trade to somebody, so they're making more money on it than the Nasdaq. But yeah, just as a brief comp, guys, the CBOE is $11 billion. Coinbase is 10 times bigger than that as soon as it trades. The Nasdaq, 26 billion. The ICE, 66 billion. Goldman Sachs, Coinbase will basically, if it does indeed come public at 100 billion plus, it could be right in line with Goldman Sachs as one of the behemoths of finance. And that is indeed impressive. But again, they have tens of millions of accounts. That's number one. Number two, they can lend on those Bitcoin and other security or tokens, utility coins, whatever, and they can offer a world of other services, which I'm sure Mr. Armstrong and team are already coming up with for all those folks. Credit cards, loans. You guys get the idea. This is this potentially $1 trillion company? Depends how big crypto gets, but yes, it could be. Right now, didn't you guys say at its listing, it's going to be approximately 1/10 of Bitcoin itself?
Yeah, I mean, if it's 100 billion and the current market cap of Bitcoin is around 1.1 trillion, yeah, upwards, a little bit towards 1/10 the size, but it's incredible. And I think you make a lot of good points, and in the differentiations between traditional equity brokerages as well as the Nasdaq and the CBOE, and how Coinbase can actually generate revenue differently from those traditional legacy places.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of crazy numbers being thrown around and these wild comparisons showing how big this valuation is. But I think at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to, the psychology of the individual trader. And I want to pose a question to you guys that we're getting quite a bit in here in chat. What would you guys be willing to pay for Coinbase? We're getting a price target of 250 for today. Is there a price ceiling you'd be willing to pay today to get in on this listing?
And my reason for wanting to get in, Monty, is because I figure it's Cathie Wood's play. I figure Cathie Woods over at ARK is going to be in here because she's in crypto in a big way. She wants to be in, but she can't do certain things in crypto, at least not onshore. So she's instead limited to, stocks, equities. And I think this is an equity that would be on her radar. that she would buy. And when Kathy Woods buys, it's not a small buy. So to answer your question directly, I'd say probably in the 275 to 300 price range is about as high as I'd go today.
What about you, CJ? Are you still buying at 300, or are you just trying to get filled at 250? And if not, you're just going to walk away?
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't have very strong opinions or feelings about this trade whatsoever, but I'd say that 300 level is very suitable. I think Jon makes another good point in the sense that, I think a lot of people assume retail are going to be the primary driving factor behind this direct listing, but I think a lot of people underestimate the Kathy Woods of the world and the ARK Invests in the world that want direct exposure to crypto, but maybe don't have the custodial solutions yet in mass the way they would like to. So that could be very interesting if some of those institutional players step up.
Yeah, that's a great point, CJ. That's a great point. I think this is one instance where, we're going to have both the institutional players and the retail traders attacking this listing at the same time. So yeah, who knows how high this thing can go. I'm really excited to see it. But yeah, I think without further ado, you guys want to hop into our Doges of the day. And, the animation is pretty fitting today because Doge is just taking off, absolutely skyrocketing. It's pretty crazy. We were talking about it before the show started. Doge, in terms of percentage gain, is actually the best performing asset so far of 2021. It's even outperforming assets like Binance Chain, that have seen incredible returns. But man, Doge leading the charge. So, Jon, you
Gene
love
Simmons
Doge.
is a happy guy.
True.
Gene Simmons, Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, I think are all happy guys here today. As just as a quick note, guys, for all of you who are really interested in what's going on with Coinbase and a deeper discussion than even we can do here, because we try to limit these to about 15 minutes, go check out the podcast I did yesterday. It's on our YouTube channel. You just go over to YouTube and you type in Market Rebellion, hit the subscribe button. It's free. But I was on with Galen Moore, who's the head of data and indexing at CoinDesk, not Coinbase, CoinDesk. But it's one of the biggest data streams for crypto, and they do everything. And we talked about what you can get out of Coinbase, what Coinbase is doing now, and so forth. And I told him about how I like to trade based on volume. He said, "Jon, we got it for you. We got volume from all the top exchanges. We can, let you slice and dice it." So I'm definitely going to be diving in with Galen Moore on that, guys. But as far as I'm going to go out on the limb today and say Litecoin, because nice build, but it'd be hard to find a crypto that didn't have a nice build of volume today, guys, over the last little bit, because, Monday, this one was averaging about, looks like 4 billion. It went up to 8 billion in volume today. So does it make a surge? Litecoin doesn't quite move like Doge usually, but I'll point out that, it does move around, and it goes from 99 cents or a buck up to 101. But still on a daily basis, that's worth it for a trade. And so Litecoin, whoops, I got the wrong one here, guys. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. You got the right price for Litecoin, I'm sure, but Litecoin's $262. I was miffed as to why I was seeing that number. So I apologize, clicked on the wrong chart.
Litecoin's an interesting one this cycle. It's one that was just so explosive in 2017, but it's kind of been somewhat forgotten about. Anyways.
Yeah, well, the founder dumped all of his shares, right? I mean, anytime you've got a founder dumping his shares at the high, you kind of are a little suspicious of how committed he really was to the project. But it didn't die. It fell apart for a while, but it's trading $7 billion worth per 24-hour period. LTC. I better get my stories straight before I go on CNBC later.
CJ, what have you got for us as your Doge of the day today?
My Doge of the day is going to be Aave. Aave is a really interesting project. We had the pleasure to interview the creator, Stani, on Trade the Chain a few months back. I have a lot of respect for what he's built and what the team has been able to accomplish. They do lending and mortgages on the blockchain and all types of really interesting, cutting edge stuff. Aave has had a lot of volume come in very recently. You can see that orange line on the chart behind us is the SMA. In our webinar last night with AJ Monty, he showed us a strategy using that SMA, and a very successful trader who would use a very simple strategy of just buying when price would go above the SMA and then closing the position when it would go below the SMA. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it in this analysis. We actually have a very strong surge in volume coming from Aave today. So this could be a turning point due to the fact that we surged really early on in February and then have kind of just gone through a bullish or rather bearish to neutral consolidation ever since. But we're starting to see some volume come back in to Aave. It's let's see if I can see the volume numbers. Aave is up around, it's over 50% when it comes to an increase in relative trading volume. So always a nice volume pick there, backed by some solid fundamentals. So Aave is going to be my selection for Doge of the day today.
Okay.
Very nice, CJ. And it's funny, I too was influenced by the options oracle yesterday, and I've started regularly applying that 20 period SMA to my charts. And my Doge of the day today is Luna. And I've been bullish on Luna all year. I like its long-term value prop, but really the reason I'm picking it today as my Doge of the day is I love where it's at technically, especially compared to the rest of the crypto market. So, like CJ just said, yesterday in our webinar with AJ, which I learned a lot during from his technical analysis, he talked about how, a really simple trading strategy is selling when price goes below this 20 period moving average and buying when price goes back above this 20 period moving average. And today, I think we're going to drop below this 20 period moving average. So what I'm going to wait for is a chance to re-enter when we move back above this moving average. I really believe that, like I said, I believe in the long-term value prop. I think there is tremendous utility for a basket of stable coins as, sort of a settlement vehicle. It's already very popular in Asia. And, I think it's going to continue to be popular throughout the world. So I'm long-term bullish on this, but further, like I said, in the short term, the technicals are very strong. And, whenever you have a big move in the leaders like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can expect assets, that are in the sort of middle tier group of crypto to eventually follow suit. It might not be immediate because there's a lot of focus today on, Coinbase and even just Bitcoin itself. So, assets like Luna or even like Aave that CJ mentioned are getting a bit neglected today. But I think that, for the rest of the week and the rest of the month, we're going to see a ton of retail speculation and a ton of even just profit taking from those larger assets trickle down into assets like Luna and Aave. So yeah, just in terms of how this is positioned technically, moving below this moving average, it's also got the support right below it where I think it's going to rebound this level of 14.498 from this previous TD9. And, once it breaks above this TD resistance, it really doesn't have any resistance up until $22. And I think even then it can continue to climb. So Luna, that's my Doge of the day. I think, wait for it to move back above this standard moving average and, you should have yourself a pretty good trade. So that is my Doge of the day. But yeah, I think that's about all we got,
All right. Now I got a surprise for you guys.
Oh.
So this is that good luck trade like a rebel shirt, right? And for anybody who signs up for the YouTube account and retweets something about this show, you'll be in the running for one of these shirts. We've got a bunch of them, so we'll try to do it for several days and just see who, every couple days we'll announce a winner. and we'll basically reach out to you through that same Twitter account. So if you retweet that you subscribe to the YouTube account, which is again, Market Rebellion on YouTube, you just type Market Rebellion and you click subscribe and then tweet out that you did that, you could be wearing that fine t-shirt in the very near future.
Very nice, very nice. I'll start taking note of who is retweeting. I might, make a retweet from my personal account because I want that t-shirt too. So,
All right.
but I think that's all we got for today. It's going to be an exciting day. So if you feel like coming and chatting about crypto with CJ and I, just $1 for the first month. You can try it at the link down below. It's marketrebellion.com/try crypto, pro charting service, an ever-growing community of really intelligent traders all around the world, a 24/7 chat, trade insights by the members of our community and CJ and I. So yeah, come hang out, just $1 for the first month, and it's going to be an exciting week, exciting rest of the month. But with that, we will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.